Hello, Knights of the Roll Table. This is Chris, your Dungeon Master for Season 2. Well, it's pretty much over. This is the wrap-up bonus episode for Season 2. So if you're listening to us for the first time, stop. You can go back to the first episode of Season 2 or just the first episode of Season 1 if you want to start there. But either one, it's a good place to start. This one contains a lot of spoilers, so official spoiler warning. This is just a reminder and a request that if you like what we're doing, if you like Knights of the Roll Table, and you want to support us, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or whatever service that you're listening to. We would really appreciate it. It helps the mysterious algorithm that's out there that lets us get listed and helps more people find out about the show. We really appreciate your guys' support and any kind words you want to leave. We will read out reviews during announcements. Zach is going to be taking over as DM again for Season 3. Next week on Tuesday, we are going to be releasing a How to Have a Session 0 episode and have a Session 0 episode for Season 3. So that'll be kind of fun. And then the following week, we will be posting our first episode of Season 3. If you want to reach us on Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at Rolled Table. That's at Rolled Table, or you can use the hashtag Rolled Table and let us know what you think about the show. Ask us any D&D questions that you want to ask us. We are always available for a chat. You can see original art for all of the Season 2 characters and Season 1 and photos of us sitting around the table having a goofball time on our Instagram, as well as some how-to D&D tips. Thank you guys so much again for listening. I had a blast DMing. This was very educational as well as a whole lot of fun, and can't wait to get back to playing again. So thanks. Enjoy the bonus episode. Welcome to Knights of the Roll Table, the Season 2 wrap-up episode.
Yay!
We did it! We did it.
Huzzah.
And Jeff's
You
here.
all survived. Well, of course Jeff's here. Jeff was part of Season 2. Well, let's go around the table, actually, and we'll have everybody say who you are and the character that you played this season, just to kind of put things into perspective of who's here. So, I'm Chris Daly, and I am the DM for Season 2.
I'm Zach Stones, and I was the Jarek Darkharbor of Season 2.
I'm Matt Messerman. I played Celius throughout Season 2.
I'm Jen Stopper Crespo, and I played Sarsa.
Jeff Frank, I was Big Bart and Massimo.
And my name is Weston, and I played Coach.
Fantastic. Well, we're still in the midst of editing the finale, but when this comes out, that will have already been released. So you guys haven't heard the finale, but Jeff hasn't heard it. But
I have no
know
idea what's going to happen.
The rest of you might have remembered that. And we're recording this a couple weeks after we recorded the finale, so we'll be kind of reliving some moments and talking about highlights and things. So I want to open it up just to a discussion of what you guys think. But we'll start with just like favorite moments. Any favorite moments that you guys had from the season, and favorite things that you guys like that other characters did.
I loved the Jarek Eagle moment. Like I've never felt so much joy by proxy as I did in that moment of like him getting to ride the frickin' eagle. Like it was like, yes, live your truth.
That was pretty rad.
I enjoyed that too.
That was a fun thing that, because you wanted it, and he was like, nope. It was like, and then, but in episode 3, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to come back. I can save that. I can make that work somehow. And having it, retroactively be like, yeah, he had a ring on and it controls the metal bird. And that just seemed right.
Yeah, that's something I definitely appreciated. Lots of moments like that where you took something that we had mentioned as a thing and made it important later. Like Jarrett got dark vision from his snake thing and other stuff like that. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think he threw in the spiders because I made an offhand remark about not liking spiders.
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to talk about the snafu that occurred with that episode?
Yeah, sure. So with that episode, I mean, yeah, because I think we even mentioned it.
Wait, no. Well,
We didn't say which episode it was.
on social media at one point we shared like, wow, in recording last night we recorded an awesome episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then we re-recorded it because we were not recording the last hour. And I think it's definitely like the way it comes out, I think it's definitely like, I didn't really notice in like re-listening to it. So I think like we can go on to talk about that in this episode, but first I want to give people an opportunity to like think and maybe even listen back and try to guess what part of what episode was redone, because I'm certainly proud of how we redid it. And I think we lost some great moments, but we also added some great moments. And this is definitely a moment where I think we as a cast came together and did something really cool. Made it work.
It was late.
Yeah, it was really late.
It was so late.
Finished at like 12:30.
I'm still tired from that.
Still recovering.
Hello, boys and girls. This is the Magical Editing Fairy. This is your chance to pause the podcast and think to yourselves about which episode in Season 2 we had to record the second half of twice. That's right, one of the episodes we actually did a second time. It was an entire hour that we had to repeat, but it was a little different. You'll find out in 3, 2, 1.
I really.
And Coach,
go
oh my
ahead.
gosh, Coach needing water
Oh my
to
gosh,
re-revive
yes.
was an awesome addition.
Hydration is very important.
Gosh.
Could save your life.
I as we were doing that, and when Coach was dead, unconscious or dead, I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, and it just sort of, I was like, wait a minute, what would bring him back? You know?
Well, I will say, I mean, even though we were recording it a second time, like, because we had changed things, and even that moment that Chris included of, like, Coach not coming back, it really did feel like, even though we had run through it before and we kind of, I think, had an idea in our heads of kind of how things were going to wind up, like, it did feel like there were still some stakes there. And I would say this whole season, this whole season to me felt like we had some legitimate stakes in place, and I don't think I felt quite as safe, which was exciting. I mean, I literally almost was very close to dying, which that's a first for me.
Yeah, we almost lost Coach. Almost lost you, Jabin.
I think you were one death save away.
I had a roll
Yeah.
that had that failed, Sarsa would be no more.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mark, for my birthday
that was
dice,
a lucky die.
because those allowed her to stick around.
And we did lose Cobbles.
We did lose Cobbles.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. So kind of kicking off the season, and we can always come back to favorite moments, but so kicking off the season with a major or kind of a side character death. This was not something that the audience knew, but we kind of were familiar with that character from a previous adventure that we had done. You know, it's kind of establishing even then, like, these characters knew this other NPC, and then they really cared about him, and then except for Coach, and then and then he gets killed in combat, sort of defending them. What I was trying to do is allowing you guys to be like, oh, now we're invested. You know, now we have some sort of like either reason for revenge, or, you know, reason to figure out what's going on, or who this guy is, or, you know, kind of, this is hopefully a hook that would bring you guys into it. What do you guys think?
Well, he was my character.
Yes, and also he was your
Weston's
character.
actual character.
It wasn't just some like NPC. Like, Cobbles was the character I created
Yeah,
when I first joined this group.
yeah.
And we were doing a text campaign, and I created Cobbles, and then
You did.
Chris just like murdered him in front of me.
Don't you forget
And I
that.
was like,
Yeah.
wait, that's not. I've never, like, none of my characters have ever died before, let alone it being a character that I created, then somebody else kills it. Like, it's really interesting being put in that scenario where I was like, no, but
Yeah.
I'm not controlling. That's not Yeah, it was wild.
I forgot that's how you got brought into this group.
Mhm.
Really, was as Cobbles.
As cobbles.
Wow.
But Coach didn't care.
Well,
No.
I'm sorry.
Coach just wanted to recruit him.
Sure.
Coach wanted him working in his mind.
I'm sorry if that was rough.
Oh no, it was great.
It definitely started the season off with higher stakes, though. Like we all, oh, okay.
I like the idea of starting with a siege on the town, whether it was successful or not, because it could have easily gone wrong with on the villain's part.
Well, I mean, yeah, the town didn't really do so great. So
What was the best the heroes could have done in that situation?
Any better than we rolled, because we rolled horribly that entire skill challenge.
You failed the skill challenge by one or two things, but I think, well, the burning of the city was definitely Celius's fault. that was not in the cards originally. I was like, okay, well, great, we'll just add fire to the mix. But that's fine. That was sort of like the kerfuffle of the, which was great. I thought it was good.
It's very
Candy.
Celius.
It was like, oh, I'd like to do this chain of fire, and it just starts lighting a bunch of businesses on fire. But I think, I mean, maybe they could have probably saved more people, but I mean, ultimately, I just was, there's more and more of these twig blights, and to the point where it's such a low level. It's like a CR 1/4 and 1/2 for the needle blights enemy that, but if there's 300 of them, then
That could be a problem.
that's a problem.
And
plus this big armored construct guy
And flying snakes.
and flying snakes and
all
cultists
manner of nightmare fuel.
and cultists,
Mm-hmm.
cultists ripping a bag of holding and all these things popping out.
I think my my favorite NPC of the season was the orc artist that paints the the names on the side of the ship.
Yeah.
Every time he came in, I was like, "Yeah, D&D is great. This is fantastic."
Yeah.
Oh, he was so
The
good.
unnamed artist.
Oh no, my favorite was the Arakoa.
Aarakocra?
Oh
yeah.
Hello, darling.
Yeah, she was force of nature, and I liked Coach's internal.
Vikia Nizakla.
Yeah, Coach's little internal awakening was definitely my favorite D&D romance of all time, and I think needs to show up in either some fanfic or the EU, the Knights of the Rolled Table EU that gets developed at some point.
Send us pictures. Draw them, send them.
Send them to Jen.
You
I
can
don't
just
know that I
create
wanna
your own
see
DeviantArt account and just all.
Share it on ArtStation. Oh dear.
Well, NPCs. Anybody else have a favorite NPC?
I was a big fan of Bartleby myself.
Bartleby had some ups and downs with you guys.
Yeah.
At first, you didn't trust him, and then he was very handy, and then he was.
And we still didn't trust him.
Bartleby was originally going to be the big bad of the season.
Really?
In my original kind of notes, I was like, wouldn't it be funny, if this little guy, but he basically created an army he couldn't control. But then I was like, no, I kind of like him, as I was making him, and I just like the idea of maybe he got corrupted into something with the promise of he was legitimately trying to save his town with the promise of this other person saying, hey, I can make this work, and then things got out of control, and then he tried to stop it, but she has mind control powers, so he couldn't.
As we know.
Yeah, so it was kind of an unwitting henchman of the main villain, but he was not willingly trying to do bad things.
Oh, can we talk about what's his name? Ramsby Gord.
Gordon
Ramsay.
How do you forget that name?
Yeah.
You might forget that name, but you're never going to forget that creme brulee.
No way.
I will
Man,
never
you guys
let
will
Zach
not let
forget.
that go.
Hey, when you cook with
One
rocks,
crit fail.
Coach
Well, no.
has a -1 to survival.
Well, so I had the whole idea of okay, well he wants to fight, and the skill challenge, whether you won or not, was we'll see. Okay, we'll see. And then, but it was actually Sarsa bringing him back to life, because if you didn't do that, then you would have had to do something about 40 angry bugbears that you just killed the boss in this temple. So
then
that would have
thank
been
you, Jen.
interesting.
Hey, y'all, the networking is very important.
Clearly.
And it was great because they ended up coming back and being the cavalry.
Yeah. Oh my
the
God.
corgi.
The corgis. Oh, the horse corgis.
Oh.
That.
Yes.
I mean, obviously for us it was a visual moment, but just like the introduction of
For
that.
all of you, it should be a visual moment.
Oh,
if
if
you have
you
not
haven't-
seen the picture, the collage of the horse corgis with Godron Ram's
I
head
need
and
it on a
Cole
t-shirt.
Flintspire,
Like, Christmas is
go to
coming.
Instagram right now at Roll Table and look at that because it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to that episode, you can hear all of our reactions. We're all
just-
like squeeing
Oh,
over it the whole
so
time.
good.
Losing our minds. Yeah, that was such a wonderful moment. And I'm glad that you literally copied, like cut and pasted actual corgi heads. I mean, you're an incredible artist. I know you could have done it by hand, but the early 2000s internet era
Yeah.
photoshopping of that was like,
It was a very Terry Gilliam moment for
Yes.
yeah. It-
move head here.
Yeah, no, that checked a lot of boxes for me. More of that, season 3. Zach, take notes.
Well, we
Yeah.
have a
gonna
Twitter
happen.
question.
Oh.
At Primer John asks, "What's the source and inspiration of all the accents that the cast uses?" So, where did you guys get your accents and voices from for your characters?
I can talk about mine. So for Celius, I just wanted him to be. I didn't want him to sound like me, and I wanted him to be. I wanted him to sound old, even though he's not that old, as he will remind anybody. So he ended up slightly like the "stay a while and listen" guy from Diablo, whose name I'm blanking on, and I just kind of backed off the Sean Connery-ness of that accent until
Did
I
you?
got Celius. Yeah.
Did you?
I think so. Sean
He didn't,
Connery
have,
had more
he
of a
didn't have the shush as much. Stay
Yeah.
a while and listen to. Stay a while and listen. It's a little
Yeah.
different. Yeah. And then the random spell thing just sort of happened with him.
For me, for Sarsa, as some of you guys probably already know, I'm a big fan of clerics. But one of my biggest gripes is that they get treated as these heal bots, which is such an underutilization of the class. So I just wanted to do this character that was like fed up with being asked to like heal everybody and save their butts, and but I have all these other skills, and so that kind of grew into this just disgruntled person. And I was like, well, I when we initially played this campaign, she was not as PG as we have made all of these characters in me adapting this to the podcast. So I was like, well, she's going to curse like a sailor. She's going to be a sailor. And, if you're going to do a sailor, it kind of went like Johnny Depp piratey, a little bit of Irish brogue in there.
And you had last year went to Ireland. Did that
In the spring.
influence a little bit of it?
I will not insult the Irish by saying that I based that accent on an actual Irish accent.
I think it helps
But
though.
it did definitely helped. Anytime you travel, that's research, baby. So, yeah. But it's mostly just me in my car just talking to myself. I was an only child, so I'm really used to entertaining myself. Thanks, Dad.
Speaking of the impact of Jen's trip to Ireland on the podcast, we recorded episodes 9 and 10 of season 1, like the night after she and Mark got home. So she was super jet lagged
Oh, yeah.
and worn out. And so we actually recorded 10 first, which was the Great Escape from the Feywild.
Yeah.
That went pretty fine. And then the next one was
That was the one where you brought Celius in.
that was Wandering Sorcerer. So we recorded that after, where
You
Celius
can
comes
hear me
in.
yawning in that one, can't you?
Yes, I cut out a fair amount of like yawns and falling aparts too, but I think something that dramatically impacted the like present and future of the podcast out of that was like that episode ends with going back to the Feywild and making the deal with Aranye with the like, I forget what the deal was. Basically like, as long as I'm alive, I get to keep the staff. And she's like, yes. And that was a very organic, like, Jen is exhausted.
Yep.
Jen is jet lagged. Jen's not really thinking of the implications.
No.
And that is just in there.
And to be fair, though, like I think Maya had been through so much with that. I mean, we had kind of
It
justified
ended
like,
up working great. That's huge.
well,
And that's going to have implications, you guys. Teasers. Spoilers.
oh no, oh no.
Anyway, accents.
I got a few more. So
Zach, how did you come up with the accent for Jarek Darkharbor?
My
Jarek
cunning Jarek
Darkharbor.
Darkharbor accent. I mean, he doesn't really have an accent. My goal was just a little bit grislier, a little bit down here, but I don't always keep that in the heat of things. And so I really, after DMing and doing a lot of voices, like kind of wanted just to be able to talk and think and hang in there. So I didn't do too much, and hopefully that's fine.
Where's Coach come from?
I can't really talk about mine for fear of copyright infringement.
Oh, he's
So-
cool. He's a cool guy. Come on, Patrick.
Yeah, like I just always have done that voice. That. Yeah, it's down here, and I've always liked that characterization and kind of like this loving dumb guy. Just like you just want to like hug him and also slap him when he says something dumb. Like I've just always liked that voice, so that's something that I've worked on for years, and now it's just like it just comes out of me without even thinking about it.
I do that voice because of you now, all the time.
Let it spread. Yes.
Every time I like hydration is very important.
Yeah.
That's in my vernacular now, and it's always said with that voice too.
Yeah,
That
hydration's very important.
Yeah, that and chromatic orb.
Chromatic orb.
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple of things for NPCs. Like Nuzir was inspired by Jeremy Irons as Scar.
Nice.
But obviously it changed a little bit. He was, started out very, over-articulating everything. And then Kishara was kind of inspired by an evil Helen Mirren. Like I wrote down, I wrote down young evil Helen Mirren. Not like hot old Helen Mirren, but younger Helen Mirren. And then Cole was like a Jason Statham kind of, but not inspired. And then Bartleby was sort of like a young Joe Pesci. His Joe Pesci's kind of up here, but Bartleby, I just wanted him to be a little bit more down there, like a smaller guy.
What, you think my eagle is funny? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he wasn't a mean guy, but it was just like
That was one of many things that was super impressive. Just like Chris's ability to skip between accents, even when like multiple characters are in the room. There's various moments where Chris would dive in with like the wrong accent.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of those are still in there with him being like, wait a minute,
there
wrong
are.
accent.
I'm not going to point him out.
But like, I think the fact that you like labeled them, I mean, the question kind of like of like, where do the accents come from? I think that's I imagine like that's how Chris is able to do
Chris
that.
is a
'cause
walking
he's,
Rolodex of
well, he like
voices
really
and
like has a
characters.
very
True that.
clear image in his mind of like, this is this character. And that's
Yeah.
how you anchor it without getting like mixed up.
And Jabin was David Tennant, Doctor Who.
Yes.
Because everyone goes, well, I mean, it's if he's higher in the, it's kind of a Scottish English accent, and
I love
inspired by that.
Yeah, it was nice having you play
Yeah, we
Solace's
finally
husband.
I'm
got to
so
see the
glad.
husband
I'm
and-
so glad we got to save him because that would have broken me. If
That
we
was
lost
definitely a
Jabin.
character I felt like Chris really wanted to kill.
Yeah, man.
He was
I
trying.
kept trying to murder him over and over again.
Yeah, you like put him on the Crystal Council just in time for them
be
to get
assassinated.
slaughtered. I was like, what? Yeah.
It wasn't my
that's great.
intent to kill Jabin, but it was also like, well, he's there, and that's what the villain would do, and so that's what happened.
Oh, of course.
I mean, he could have not been there. He could have been saved. He could have been, whatever. And the coach, I told Weston this, but Coach rolling, he's not a healer, and he was in the room, and Weston rolled a nat 20 on a medicine check, which is what brought him back from death. So if he hadn't rolled a 20, he would be dead. That's another one of those like one die away from dying.
Take that, fates.
Yeah.
Really
Definitely
quick-
one of
go ahead.
my favorite parts of the whole season was the like triangle between Coach and Celius. Javen's jealous of Coach, and he has no idea. You guys got so much mileage out of that, and so much fun at so many points. Riding in on Coach to save Javen, and just so many moments.
And Coach had no clue.
Yes.
That was, and I think that was the charm of it all, is
Yeah.
that Coach didn't realize what was going on.
If you want to add that to the fan art,
Send to Jen at
can I
Yeah.
do a reverse Patreon where like
You pay them for
Do whatever you want.
I
I'll
think it's just
pay
called being a
you.
client.
Yeah, you just talk to me after the show.
I don't know how money works, you guys.
Well, you give it all to me, and
So,
good things happen.
This season
If we
also,
ever earn money from the podcast, it's going to go right back out the door to Jen buying fan art.
from me.
Chris is living up on the mansion on the hill. Man.
Putting Chris's kids through college.
So we introduced a couple new Knights of the Realm in this season. Besides Coach being a knight, we learned about a few people on the Crystal Council later in the season. But earlier, I think the first one that was revealed was
Callum.
And that was a cool moment. The dates, I think, was
yeah.
one of my favorite
jeez.
episodes to do because it was jumping around. It was like literally splitting everybody into single pairings,
Yeah.
and that was a fun like little stupid like Friends episode. Like, wait, let's meet later. Let's meet later. And I was like, okay, that's whatever. And then doing the dates was really fun because we came back to it.
Handled
after.
really well, and that's not edited together. Chris did a really good job just jumping at the right moments between those. That was fun.
That was fun. But yeah, Callum, and then later I think it was Massimo and Ramara. Which shout out to Emily who couldn't make it tonight, but she did a fantastic job.
Yes.
And I think we're all terrified of mystics.
Oh yeah, never again.
It's not just mystics, it's Emily as a mystic because like she is ice cold when she delivers those things and I'm like, oh, like you would do it.
I'd like to try mind melt.
Neuron shadow.
She's the
Psychic
perfect
avalanche.
She was the perfect person for an overpowered character because she never plays anything like an overpowered character, and it was very much like we like made the character and like talked about it, and then we would read. She would be like, "What does this like mean?" And we would read the description and be like, "You're basically a god. Like you're out of control. I just want you to know that you're out of control."
We were going for a very Jean Grey. I think
Yes.
that's what she
Yeah.
said. She wanted to be like out of control, sort of not quite on revenge bender, but there
Well,
was
and
some
then
things
Massimo like being like going from Bart to Massimo,
that was great.
Bart the
Jeff.
Bard into Massimo, and what a wonderful foil for her, who is this OP character, and then when you finally become Massimo again, like he's a jerk, and you're like, how is he the hero when she's this amazing? But you realize like, oh yeah.
That's the patriarchy, baby.
Well, one of the themes, and I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought what the themes were, but one of the themes that Massimo kind of tied into was the idea of the heroes that are not who you believe they are. The heroes can fail, heroes can be villains, heroes can just ultimately disappoint you.
Well, voop-de-doo.
Voop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Being another one. Yeah.
Well, we had Nuzir, who seemed like he was going to be sort of a villainous person, turned out to be good, and Kishara exactly the opposite.
Yeah. Voop-de-doo being Gus Thorak was not an original plan, by the way.
No.
I came up with that like the day before.
Oh.
It was like I had this whole it's a mind flayer. You guys are gonna find a mind flayer. Like once I knew he was down there, and that's what because of Massimo's backstory. But Voop-de-doo being Gus Thorak, I was like, it's like I forget what I was doing. I was just like, that's it. That's what's gonna happen.
You're like brushing your teeth.
I
And
was
you're
like,
"Whoa."
I was like, why would they go down there? And because like they're gonna go down there, and like what why would they have the spiral? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was such a cool moment.
It was really neat.
Yeah.
That was fun. What other themes did you guys get out of the season? If season 1 was kind of like finding, being a hero and coming together and defending the realm and unlikely heroes and stuff like that, and I think season 2 was a little bit more of like the underdog and being it's the entire Crystal Council was just like, well, we don't really we expect you to die essentially, and then like everybody kind of didn't expect anything from this party.
Since I was listening to most of the season, it was really cool just to see the way in which it was like complicated, and there was a lot of history of stuff and bigger organizations doing things. It wasn't very clear exactly what the direction that you guys were going in was, and it was very much exploratory and not very much like the righteous path toward the inevitable greatness. It was very much like, well, we're going to just do the next thing that we think we should do. Yeah. And I think it felt like there wasn't any particular like drive in like, we have to do this because we know they're the bad guy and we have to get these things. It was very much like
organic.
There was a lot of history and
if
lore
season
that was
2
getting
was a
figured
relationship status, it would be it's complicated.
Definitely.
Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah,
definitely.
but also like like you said, like even with Bartleby, like you have characters that may be good and well intentioned but do the wrong thing, and then you have characters like Jarek and Sarsa who like don't really fancy themselves necessarily heroes, but like wind up getting put in these positions and
did the morally right thing.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't want to do like the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we should shout out, to Mark for Chaser. It was great. That whole and being part of that first curio discovery was great, and he did a ton of damage too. Like he would just wrecked Godron Ramshead in that battle, and like all of the bugbears and the goblins and everything.
Yeah.
Swashbucklers.
I
Stars.
also really liked Mark's voice for Chaser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
He literally based that character off of a cat that he had named Louie. And the cat was missing several teeth, so he was like, if I'm this cat, like I would have to talk like this because I'd be missing these teeth.
And that's with an underbite.
Yeah. Oh, my husband looks like a bulldog. He's got like
he's kind of talking like
a cute, sexy bulldog.
You said it, I didn't.
Our sexiest
Send us
season-
pictures.
Our sexiest
Mark Crespo is
season
a
Cute,
sexy bulldog.
That's his next character. Is there a dog race? There should be a dog race.
And I've always had a thing
Kobolds?
for
Mark
MacGuffin
Crespo?
chases.
What?
No. Yeah.
Always had a thing for Mark
I've always had
Crespo.
a thing
Are
for
we?
Mark.
That's what we're talking
have-
about now.
Yeah.
I got to admit it too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everybody
Sorry.
does that.
Secret
Give me
crushes
some
go.
of
No, I've always had a thing for MacGuffin chases. Like the whole go after this and go and find these things, and even though it's very cliche, but I love cliches, so I was just like, well, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I like the idea of these ridiculous things. And yes, it was going to be a bop it. Like, I was like that was the idea all along, is to have it be like, oh, it's pieces of a bop it, and you put it together, and it's.
I remembered
my
my
God.
actual favorite NPC. It was the moose.
Oh, the
Charlie.
Gladys
Oh, yeah.
Moose. Tell me a story.
Yeah, who you named Charlie?
Yeah, he had to have a name. Poor guy. I hope Salius goes back and visits him at some point.
I think there was a lot of smoke and mirrors happening this season.
Yeah.
I mean, just nobody was who you quite thought they were. The doppelgangers weren't bad. Like they were
Yes.
just defending their own thing. And then like the moose was like this, I don't know, weird ancient creature.
Well, he was created by Gastorek.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, gelatinous moose and a moose,
Spoilers.
or gelatinous cube and a moose.
Oh,
He was one of the
gotcha.
early ones, and he mentioned like I've been here for a long time, but Gastorek was down there
Hundreds of years.
hundreds of years. So yeah, he was one of the first ones and found his way there.
The doppelganger episode was rad to listen to.
Oh my God.
It was really good.
We were super worried about it. We were like, this
No,
is
So confusing.
It 100% read, and it was great. It was so fun to listen to.
It was
because I
so
had no
bizarre.
idea what I was like. But because you guys were playing it, it seemed like you guys were reading off a script. It was great. was
We
great.
were not.
It was so bizarre, like rolling and playing against yourself, as yourself. Like that for me was one of those moments of like, oh, I'm gonna screw over my character here, but I got it. This is what my other character
I
would
loved-
do. So
I convinced Coach to go eat me.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, can we
Yeah.
talk about how much time we spent in Coach's stomach?
again,
There was a
if you'd
lot
like,
of- that was the theme of the season, was Coach's stomach. The meat
if you'd like to
pies,
send me
the
fan
lizard.
art,
well, Coach
Put it
spent a
on
lot
the
of
list.
time as a what was it a
A giant subterranean lizard.
Yeah, the giant
Yes.
subterranean lizard was, I think, your favorite form, but I liked it when you turned
Kalika.
into a poodle.
Oh yeah.
And when at night, when everybody was asleep, and you're like, yeah, you're pretty.
And just went randomly walking around as a bear.
Oh, yeah,
in
just
town.
walking- yeah.
Oh, I'm a bear.
I'm a bear. That was great.
Yeah, I
That-
definitely felt like there was another like dimension to Coach. Like you were figuring out the next level of him, and he's heroic but also vain. And
Well, I think that he, from the first season, I like characters that grow, and I think Maya really rubbed off on him a lot. Like, I think that because of Maya, he saw that it was okay to let the thoughts that came in his head and he stifled, to just let those go. Like, to let those come out. And you're, like, starting to get to know the inner monologue of Coach because of Maya.
nice.
Which is really fun.
That makes me so happy.
Do you think dying and being brought back is going to change Coach in the future?
Oh, Coach is never coming back to the podcast, so that's it. His mission's done.
Well, he did get a lot of. He found his.
That's
dwarves.
it. Like,
I hate to tell you
done.
this, Weston, but Coach is a Knight of the Realm. He very well might have to come back.
I'm going to take him over and kill him in the next episode.
I know.
Don't worry.
That's the only way my characters die. Is that the DMs just murder them in front of their friends.
I'll play him. Yeah, I'm a coach, and I'm doing a thing.
Guys, I haven't listened to the episode.
You were
Are
there.
you? No, it wasn't.
That's your fault. You knew we were doing a wrap up today and you didn't listen.
No,
Hasn't come
it
out
hasn't
yet.
come out yet.
He hasn't had a chance to listen.
How
to
would
it
I
yet.
listen to it?
Stop it, Edward. Everybody listening to this has already heard it, so
I know.
nobody cares. You're the only one. You're literally the only one
But
here
you
who's
don't.
behind.
You don't know in what terms.
What?
How?
No.
Hey, Jeff. Snape kills Dumbledore.
Oh no!
No. Hermione made him do it.
He literally
I
came
knew
to an
that.
episode about spoilers.
I was also
But
right
I
at the
wasn't
last
there. You all
chapter
knew I
of
wasn't
Harry
there.
Potter.
You knew I wasn't there.
Do you need to take a moment?
I kind of do. This is big
And
news.
I was watching The Sixth Sense at home, and I paused it right at the end to get here to record this.
Coach was dead the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we
Soylent
don't.
Green
we
has
don't know.
people.
We don't know what's going to happen.
It's a cookbook.
Anyway,
I am
and
the
we're-
only one who doesn't know.
And-
You all know what happens. I don't know.
And we're back.
Can you stop yelling?
No, I can't.
Daddy,
I'm
stop!
very upset.
Jeff is a good 4 feet away from the microphone and still louder than everybody else right now.
Oh,
Cool.
this is a lot to take in.
Any unanswered? So,
So
spoilers,
so sorry.
Jeff.
So
What are there any
feel like I need to-
unanswered questions that from the season that you guys were curious about that I may or may not be able to talk about?
I have a question that's not necessarily about the season, but about you
Ooh.
in it. So, in
Boxers
the-
or briefs.
Yeah. No. So in the original recording of the fight
Sexies.
where
The
Coach,
Gusthorak fight.
the Gus Thorak
the
fight.
second half.
Salius during that recording, he took Gus Thorak's hand. Much easier, by the way, than he managed to pull it off in the second attempt of that. And had you always intended for that hand to be able to go to replace Weston's hand?
Nope.
Okay. So did you have to kind of scramble afterwards?
Nope.
Okay. Because
I mean,
I'm
just rolled
I'm
with
getting
it.
that hand and I'm doing this, and the next time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, like, we've talked multiple times about how, like, as a DM, a lot of times things don't necessarily go the way that you may have planned or planned for. Did you have a moment in this season that was, like, the biggest kind of upset for, like, oh, well, this did not go the direction, and did you have anything where you really had to scramble and recalibrate, or?
It may have been the battle of the palace. When
Oh, yeah.
when everybody that episode when everybody was like, when Jarek was mind controlled, which luckily for me that succeeded because he rolled really low. But then there was this whole thing where there was going to be a big hybrid creature that landed in the courtyard, and I had this whole thing ready, and it didn't have to happen, but I was just like, oh, here's gonna be a big fight, and you guys are already like, it's at the end of the day, and I was like, okay, but then also we have to figure out what's going on down there. So you guys were like, well, let's go down there, and I was like, okay. So we went down there, and then that happened, and the Cole Satoris were revealed as like, oh, there's this big army, oh no, and then so I think just the escalation of that was really interesting. It started up top and it went down, and then I realized that we have to reveal that sooner, and I scrapped a couple of other like things that were going to happen. along the way, just in the moment, like we got to, get this moving. That was a kind of a pacing challenge, I think, because one, that was a really long session, but I knew, like, from a pacing thing, like, if you guys were just hanging around the city, it wouldn't make sense. Like, after that discovery, and after Kishara found out, like, okay, well, we're gonna kill you all, and you're gonna be part of my snake army. So I was like, well, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was like, okay, we're gonna have to figure things out. And I think the next episode, I had a little chance to think about they're either gonna try to fight her, or in the temple with all these other people and all the robots, or she's going to throw out a negotiation, which is what she did. And that was kind of an interesting twist too, I think, is like, hey, you're going to work for me now, the villain, and do this mission, or I'm going to kill your friends. So that was a little bit, I think that was my most challenging moment of, like, how to make that narratively work.
And what was the hybrid creature that would have shown up?
You might want to use it later.
I might.
Don't...
I guess Thorak's dead. He's not making any.
Yeah, but
there
are still
The
hybrid
balance
creatures.
is restored.
Scorpion chihuahuas.
Ugh.
It was kind of a nasty one, so I'm not gonna spoil it.
Speaking to plants in that moment was a huge.
Oh yes.
That was super fun. Which I asked you, like, did you mean to say? I don't think, like, Chris said offhanded, and you crash into some, like, columns and statues and potted plants, and I don't think he even realized that he said the word plants. And I was like, plants?
Courtyard.
And it was also
plants.
completely random that I had that boon from the Chewingas earlier.
I found these. I looked up cave, people you could run into in the cave for the gelatinous moose cave, and one of them, I was like, well, what if, while they're fighting these wolf spiders, there's also some good little elemental creatures. I was like, that's really cute. And I was like, that's fun for them to just be there. And they're called Chewingas, and they grant these little charms. And I just made 20 charms and rolled a d20, and as everybody got booped on the nose, they got boop, boop. I can't even do
so
it.
funny.
This little guy goes boop. And then, and everybody got randomly, like, Coach got to fly, and Ramara got to lie better than she already did. And then Jarrett got to speak with plants.
I got an extra melee attack.
You got an extra
but
attack.
For me, that was like, I'm such garbage at melee. It's like,
Celius is still waiting to breathe underwater.
Yeah.
That I remembered about the entire time. I forgot about the chime of opening, though, of course, when I could have used it.
Once
Yeah,
or
thanks
twice.
for that.
Yeah.
Coach got
Oh,
destroyed.
that might have been another thing, is the whole, like, let's ram the tower.
We were trying so hard.
I wanted
and
that
you were
to
so
happen
not wanting to
so
let us do that.
And I was like, all right, go investigate the ship.
Oh, I wanted to do
Shit
that
doesn't
so
work.
bad.
I got over there and definitely had a moment of, like, he's not going to let me around the tower. I'll just fly back.
I just got very practical. I was like, do you know how to fly a ship? Can you do it by yourself?
I
You can't
only
do
need
it.
to crash it.
Yeah, roll for that. Now roll for this other thing. Oh, you succeeded on that. Roll again.
I did have a whole, like, aerial combat thing, like, while you guys were in the flying ship, ready to go as well.
And the eagle.
And the eagle
Oh,
was
that was earlier.
spontaneous, but the eagle was with Bartleby because that's part of his class. As an artificer, he gets to make a construct and everything.
So, like, a flying battle for when we were
when
going
you
towards
were,
the Bard College, or later when we were going towards Kishara at the
it
end?
was either going to be going towards the Hish Temple, like first getting the airship, or possibly even, depending on the timing of things, on the way back from that. So, but it didn't need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe there'll be an airship battle later.
I think something I super appreciated was overall it's a super re-listenable season, because there's just so much that Chris was setting up. You could kind of tell early on that, like, this definitely means something. This is going to be
but there were
important.
some
The
red
statue and the
herrings.
creatures
A lot of
and
red
the
herrings.
well, like, I had no idea what anything meant. It wasn't anything I could track then, but, like, this is going to be important.
I
And if
kept
you go back
thinking-
and listen to those episodes, like, you definitely see the layers that
The
he started with.
Dragonborn and like the
Mhm.
like that whole
Politics.
conflict.
Yeah, what's
like,
up with those Dragonborn?
I kept
need to go
like
fight
I
them?
was like,
Are they
this
nice?
is
Are they
gonna come
friends?
back. This is gonna come. It's in my notes. Like I was like, all right, Dragonborn. I was like, maybe we're gonna make friends with them or something. Like, or they're gonna attack.
Yep.
Who knows?
Season
Well,
7.
I wanted to have a real world political scenario without getting into politics, but to make it feel like, hey, this problem that you guys had with Emberbrook, like that's really bad. That's a tragedy, but we have our own problems, like this other things to deal with. There's other things. There's problems with the city. There's these hybrid creatures. So there's several things that they were dealing with, and they had to go deal with this Dragonborn army that was threatening to kill. Now it kind of tied in with Bartleby, Bartleby's motivation. That's kind of where the Dragonborn army came. And I like the idea of like there is this other realm of just all, wyverns and Dragonborn and wormlings and stuff like
Let's
that.
go to there.
And that's a bad place. So I mean, and it wasn't ever. That's kind of one of those loose threads that apparently we'll see what happens.
Intrigue.
But yeah, there's a bunch of but they Kishara does mention that she was making the Kol Satori army essentially as a form of revenue, and she was going to sell them off and use the Dragonborn to help invade other realms, starting with Valkara, which is the realm to the north, which is where Jarek's father was from and where Gravely's from, actually.
Dope.
I also thought Cobbles was going to come back. When all the like desert zombies were turning up, I actually thought about asking like, is Cobbles out there? But then I was like, oh no, Cobbles not going to be out here because he's going to come and rescue us at the end. And then, no, I guess he died.
Yeah.
Really lost him.
I thought about it, but I didn't.
Oh, I'm gonna
That
delete
would've
him off
hurt.
my. I'm gonna delete him off my app now.
No, Weston, don't.
Delete. Are you sure?
It's D&D.
Delete. Are you really sure?
Yeah.
It's
Delete.
D&D. It's like a soap opera. Nobody's really
is he?
dead.
I have
There he is.
I have a Phoenix
No,
down. That's fine.
please.
Everyone,
No.
say goodbye.
No, seriously, don't.
Don't do it.
Weston, don't.
Later,
do it.
Cobbles. I never liked
Everyone,
him.
say goodbye.
No, are you serious?
Jen is actually
Weston's
crying.
so mad at
I'm
me.
not crying, but like, don't.
It's gone.
It's all right.
He
I
is
got him.
gone.
I got him.
We have stats.
I still have him.
I'm really upset about this, you guys.
You're upset that you learned he's deleting his character. I just learned that his character died.
His character
heard
died in the
that
first
episode.
episode. Or the second episode.
No, that coach dies.
Well,
Wait,
you already
no.
You
listened
were
to
there
that.
from
You
that.
gotta listen to that.
Ramara brought him back to life. You were there.
What?
He puts his hand
the
in the
hand?
thing and he lives out.
That was in the Gastoric.
Yeah, that was in the Gastoric episode.
He doesn't know that, you guys. Leave it there.
And then
He's having a
Wait,
deep
but in
emotional
the-
moment that he
in the-
doesn't
and also he
understand.
dies in the finale. But you were
Oh, okay. He doesn't die in the finale.
or
He
does
might die in the finale.
Celius,
like,
Celius
okay.
does twice.
See if Weston deleted Coach from his app.
Yeah, give me an app. I gotta know.
Well, we'll kind of be wrapping this
Okay, I
up.
misunderstood everything.
Well, I
You
want to
just cut
say actually
everything.
on the
cut
on
all
the
of my stuff.
I really appreciated not just the like everything that was laid into the first couple episodes, but the arc of the first 4 episodes. I really liked that the first episode really felt like just get to know the characters. You allowed space for them to like play and talk and connect, and for us to like joke around. And then it wasn't. I think opening up with the like town is being invaded, battle run, fight would have been just kind of like there's nothing to grab onto. But because there was some characters and connections first, you could do that, and you could do there was a lot of setup and a meeting of characters in the third one too. And those are both hugely important episodes for the whole arc of things. And then moving into, we talked about Godron earlier, and just like, I definitely felt like that was a moment where you really found your footing, I think, in terms of like, well, we're out there, we're adventuring, we'll see how this goes. And it really reminds me of season 1, episode 3 of season 1, which starts with David Claus and the sprites. And that's also an episode where like we really like came together with like, well, this is fun. We're having fun. We're really hitting our strengths, and you know, each part of those 1, 2, 3, 4, and also all of the rest of those episodes was really impressive to observe.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys were going to go on the Curio quest or not. So I mean, it could have gone to the Dragonborn, or
is there an alternative history of this season where we didn't meet Godron Ramshead, where that just lives in your head?
No, Godron. I would
He's gonna
have.
turn
I would have
up.
made that happen.
Yeah.
I thought for a second you guys were going to go back to Emberbrook, and I had some other, nasty stuff for you in Emberbrook, but that didn't happen. So yeah, I was like, oh, I hope they go to the temple, because that kind of kicks off the whole
the mace of switching,
the curios,
yeah.
the mace of switching, and
Are we going to talk about the mace of switching?
Sure. The mace of switching, the spiralite, and the bigger bracelet.
Are we going to talk about the metagame behind the changes we made?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So because this is the first time I made legendary items, so when you do that, it's definitely good to have an open discussion about that. So I gave the information to Weston, and then he kind of promptly said like, hey, this is super powerful. and so just being able to balance it, like what seems fair at this level, and what, because I knew, and what I didn't tell you is like when all three of these were combined, it was a, super
Megazord.
Legendary.
Voltron.
Yeah, it was basically you guys
It was
became
a Voltron.
No, it's
became
a Megazord.
yeah.
Generational battle.
That was an idea that I didn't know if it was going to happen or not, because Jen was at one point was like, well, we could destroy it, and I was like,
Oh yeah, you specifically went out of your way to say like, and they could be destroyed by necrotic damage.
I did.
You did. Well, and frankly, like, truthfully, if we had destroyed it, like, she wouldn't have been able to do her thing.
Neither
true.
would we though.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
but we would, like, it would have ended that. It
Well, we
wasn't
never
a terrible
know.
idea.
But yeah, so what?
So originally, the Mace of Switching basically gave me level 20 Druid powers. Like, I could transform into whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, however many times a day I wanted to do it.
Cool.
And I was like,
Animorph.
Tyrannosaurus all the time.
And that's because I didn't know what I was doing.
well, and I'm a big believer in upsides and downsides and limits, and I run my own campaigns, and that's really important to me. That I don't want to be the 6-year-old who can just think of anything and it happens. Like I put up a shield. Like whatever. So when I read that, I was like, oh wow, this is like I wanted it to feel earned. I wanted the abilities that Coach had with the mace to feel like, okay, I'm going to use it now, but then I won't be able to use it later.
Yeah.
So Chris and I kind of discussed things and figured out what would be a good balance that would still be super powerful, which is what it was.
And the charges helped. I think rolling for
Yeah.
how many charges you got each day was good, and like not being able to go beyond a certain level.
And
of
like
CR.
the size of the creature, you'd use more charges for that.
Right.
It was pretty interesting.
I definitely wanted to feel like these heroes were finding stuff that were above their pay grade. Like, oh, this is not what we expected. And that's what motivationally changed Kishara's whole thing from, I'm going to make all these constructs, to now I need these things. I need you to find them for me. Under the ruse of like, find them for yourselves, but also find them for me. Because like she knew if she found these things that she would be able to contact Dendar the Night Serpent, her god, and bring back the Yuan-Ti race and all that stuff. So that was kind of her big motivation. Y'all got to see Dendar the Night Serpent. Jeff doesn't know what that means.
What?
That's the thing that kills
I'm
Coach.
learning so much. I'm not ready for this finale.
Or just like
I have a
hologram.
question. So in the Gus Thorak battle, at the very beginning of the Gus Thorak battle, Jarek takes the spiralite, and Coach says, "Throw it to me, trust me," and then holds his action.
I did.
And then literally for the next, all through that episode
8
and most of the
rounds.
next
He got
episode,
paralyzed.
he is just standing there with his arm up, waiting for a spiralite that will never come. So the question is like, what was he gonna do if the spiralite ever arrived?
I know what he's going to do.
Oh, yeah, I was going to use the mace, transform into some kind of like whale or some kind of something, jump into the water, and I was gone.
Oh,
Like I would have been out of there because I figured that the Gus Thorak battle was one that we couldn't win
oh.
because of all I figured based on all the history and all the lore, Coach was like, we can't beat this guy, so we have to get in and get out. So that's what his plan was, but I was just frozen for
So
8
close.
rounds, so I just stood there.
One
for a
ray
little
of
while.
slowness
I
away
think
from success.
and one gorilla pod away from dropping you into the water.
Coach was super gone. Yeah.
Yeah, Jarek's plan in like just grabbing the spiralite and running was similar in like, this is the thing we need. let's just grab it and go. Or see if, like, I think from Jarek's point of view, he was thinking, I'm going to get this. I'm going to give it to Sarsa or give it to Coach. And then I'm going to hold the line at this bridge while they get out of here.
I
or
didn't
go in
expect
the
you
water
to
or
run
whatever.
up and grab it from him either. That was not. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was ready for us to just dive into that water, and I was going to cast Water Walk and just have us saunter on out.
Or water breathing.
I could have done my water breathing.
Never.
But it was fun to see that battle take place, and y'all got to wreck some Duragar, and Massimo got to have some heroic moments, and maybe
And Ramara got to destroy
Ramara just-
mostly
yeah.
everyone.
It was mostly Ramar.
Terrifying.
So, kind of wrapping up our thoughts for this season, one question that was raised towards the end is Kishara brings up the Platinum Syndicate, and what do you guys think?
Platinum Syndicate.
What do you guys think of the Platinum Syndicate?
Platinum Syndicate.
Who that is?
I don't know, but I bet you it's bad.
Maybe they're like an R&B group
Yeah.
that like creates
Another
timeless
hit
records
record
and
by the Platinum.
It's like a gold syndicate, but they've sold 50,000 more albums.
That's true.
Yeah.
sorry, I'm the worst.
That's fair.
That came out in an amazing way that was, I think, unintentional for all of us because, like, you referenced enough to kind of, like, give a sense of, like, oh, there's a bigger plan because you mentioned Lord Metre from the first season. But just, I think, by random chance, it was Jarek and Sarsa who had snuck ahead because they're stealthier who overheard that. And they're the two characters who Lord Metre means
Nothing.
nothing to.
Nothing to.
And then I genuinely was like, Jarek has this information and he would, like, ask people about it because it sounded important. And I genuinely, it did not cross my mind until Coach was walking away, at which point legitimately Jarek and me together were like, oh, hey, you know what? We overheard this thing about this like Platinum Syndicate and this Lord Metre guy, and Celius kind of knows a little bit, but
Little
didn't
bit, yeah.
actually
No, he wasn't
wasn't
like that.
involved in those discussions.
Yeah,
and
nope.
so like
Which is great.
that's
Yeah.
just out there, and none of the actual characters really have any idea that means anything.
Yeah.
Except for you at home.
Did Coach ever even find out about? He didn't even
No.
find out about the Platinum Syndicate
No.
at all.
No clue.
He's just
She's
going to go
walked off
home,
to-
crack open a beer,
He's-
and learn
he's
how to
got-
make a meat pie.
That's
He's got
exactly
300
right.
dwarves following him.
So many dwarves.
You could franchise
and a
the
metal
meat
hand.
pies and
Woo!
And some orcs.
And by the way,
That'll be in the cafeteria.
during the editing of Gus Thorak, so I did say that Coach's left hand
Oh yeah.
got cut off, and Gus Thorak's hand was not his left hand; it was his right hand. So technically, Coach has two right hands. but what I kind of turned it into was, because it was a metal hand, it has this kind of like cool like reverse kind of ability where it can rotate around.
Sure.
and-
double
and,
jointed.
it can kind of like reverse and stuff. But I figured like
like a glove.
when we see Coach again, if we ever see Coach again, that there's some other things to that hand.
Interesting.
That-
Okay.
But
There's
if
things-
we ever see Coach again.
But
You won't,
because
but
he's dead.
We also definitely have the impression that there's things to Chaser's hand that never
Yeah.
got
Yeah, I
used.
was waiting to find out about that.
Hand
Lot of-
twins.
lot of
I won't
hand
spoil.
stuff
I
going
won't
on.
spoil. What Mark and I worked out about his his hand. Well, thank you guys for a fantastic season. I definitely learned a lot. Closing thoughts on season 2.
Our sexiest season
Yes.
yet.
Yes.
It was.
I mean, like, Cole just kind of ghosted Sarsa.
Oh yeah, Sarsa.
so-
Cole got. Well, I think during that little downtime, like during recovery time, there was definitely like a text.
Oh, you up?
Yeah. there was a message. He has the message ability, so he would
Yeah.
like, you wanna meet later.
Yeah.
You wanna have a drink in
gotta
that
check that.
terribly trendy bar.
Gotta check that box.
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll see.
Thank you guys for listening to season 2, and we'll
Good job, Chris.
come back
Yay.
season 3. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
3 cheers for the DM. Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
Hip hip.
Huzzah!
The end.
It's another poodle snake.
Whoa!